Welcome to another episode of Room For It podcast. On today's episode, we will be talking with Cindy Fox. She talks about finding her way to healing through adversity. Trigger warning: there is talks of suicide, domestic violence, and sexual assault.
And it's been wild.
Wow. Why do you say wow? What's going on?
Okay, it just had. I mean, where I come from, we didn't. It was poor, and you made with what you had to make with, and if you didn't have it, you made it up. You pretended, it was wild childhood, wild teenage. Just I love wild. I'm addicted to naughty.
So far I know that you've been in recovery or sobriety for like just about more like maybe longer than I've been born.
Yeah, I'd be 34 years in December. Yeah.
Yeah. So before I was born, you have books.
Yep.
Yeah. You
Co-authored
radio
a couple
shows.
books, had 2 radio shows of my own. Yeah.
And you spoken for several people at seminars, and
Oh God, yes.
and you helped a lot of like women. You're just like a trailblazer for women, for LGBT community.
Yes.
You've just been on it. So let's dive into it.
Okay, cool. I love that. Yeah. Ask away. And I don't, by the way, folks, I don't lie. So if you want to hear the truth, just be turning this shit off right now.
All right. So you say you was raised poor and you had to make up. So what was it like coming up as a kid? Are you from Syracuse?
No, I'm from upstate New York.
Okay.
Not from Syracuse. I moved to the city when my son graduated from high school.
To the city?
Yep, to
New York City?
Syracuse.
Okay.
I know. There is a city in New York State, and it's not New York City. It's
okay.
Central New York. And I come from a family of 8, and we were poor. My parents were blue-collar workers, and everything had to be done right the first time because there wasn't time to mess up, So that's the way it was, If you were told to do something, you wanted to do it, you better do it then. And you better not ask another question, and you better do it right, or all hell was to break loose. And which made that hard for me when I, as a kid in school, because I did not read well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was, I think 4 years old, and I was reading 4th grade level.
Mm-hmm.
I did not graduate from high school. I was bullied in school horrifically because I was not your little girl-looking little girl.
When you say bully, were you like beat or like just teased and stuff?
Physically beaten, verbally abused, and back then, because I've been on this planet 75 years, okay?
Don't even look it.
So we're going back a minute, right?
Okay.
And so when I was a preteen, there was this thing in school called, if you wore green on Thursday, you were queer, right?
Okay.
So some kids would wear green just for the hell of it to cause a ruckus, because it was a big thing. If you were queer, you were like the worst, most despicable thing on the planet. It was the worst thing to be. And I didn't know that I didn't know. They tell us you don't know until you know you don't know. Well, I didn't realize that I was a lesbian, and so I did everything you were supposed to do. I was taught to. I was raised Catholic. You get that boyfriend. And so of course I played that thing right out because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I didn't know better, but I did know. See, I did know when I was 4 years old, and I'm sitting we had a set on the floor and watch big old black and white TV. And there was this television show called Ed Sullivan. And he had a woman singer come out that night. And when she came out to sing, I sat there and the butterflies in my little belly. I fell in love so hard. And I'm like 4, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is, but I'm just knowing. And that feeling has not left me. Yeah. I know what that feeling is, right? But I didn't know then. So as growing up and being a teenager, I didn't know. I mean, I remember when Tommy jumped in the mud puddle and got mud all over Susie's skirt. I took his 2 front teeth out.
Oh.
And I was only like 8, 9 years old. Bam, because she was my little girlfriend. I didn't know she was my little girlfriend. So it's like, all these things happen for me, but I didn't know that, And the kids in school, because I was such a tomboy, called me queer and this one. And at 16, I'm still a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, our parents like to let us think that the kids today are having sex early. Hell, my parents were doing that. They're 100 years old. They're knocking that stuff around 12, 13 years old. We're not supposed to be doing it. But the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And if we don't talk the truth, then everybody feels guilty and shame for no reason.
Yeah.
So,
Shame.
yeah. So the kids picked on me and told me, and I said, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. So the guy I was going out with at the time, he come over that night and he says, what do you want to do? And I said, what you've been trying to do for 9 months, which was, and so we did. And that very first time I had sex, I got pregnant. Oof. Yeah. And, I hear women say all the time that they lost their virginity. Now, I know where mine is.
Oh, wow.
He was married to a woman in Pennsylvania. So, so it was bigamy,
Mm-hmm.
We got married in Methodist church. It was all a fraud. We did it anyway. But, yeah, so being bullied and life being hard, but it's doable.
Yeah.
I understand. I've been in recovery for a long time, and I understand that I'm entrusted with these experiences. They don't happen to me; they happen for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I get entrusted with this because down the road, there's going to be another woman or a young man I'm going to be able to help.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go through something and they're going to be brought to me. And then I can share my story with them so they don't feel alone. They know they're not alone. And they also can see that it's doable, that we can survive, that we just step out of that hole and move on up, if I want to. I got a choice. I can be a victim, I can be a martyr, or I can be a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a kick-ass girl, so I'm a survivor.
Yeah, you're a survivor.
Yeah. So that's the way I live my life, and I love my life, and it is what it is. It's been hard. I mean, gosh, becoming an alcoholic was not my plan.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea, but I started drinking at 11, for God's sake. I finally came out. I was married for 5 years. And I came out, the lady across the street, good friend of mine, for some reason one night decided to kiss me. I said, what the hell are you doing? She said, I was just curious. And I said, well, I'm not. I went, and I thought, my God, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. That's the issue. That's me. Because those butterflies came back. I was 25. It took them 21 years to flutter on up to where I knew what I was doing, right?
Yeah.
And I came out. My husband and I thought, how am I going to get out of this marriage? And I said, I prayed about it. And so God had to kick the living daylights out of me again. And the second time I said, here's my out.
So you dealt with a lot of domestic violence?
Yes. My father beat me, kicked me. I mean, I endured the incest, the sexual abuse, the verbal abuse, the bullying. I had 3 older brothers that just tore me inside out. I mean, I was like a human football.
Were you the only girl?
No, there were 4 girls and 4 boys. My brother Donnie died when he was about 18 months old. My sister Sarah died the minute she was born. So that left 3 girls and 3 boys. And my older sister was 9 years older than me, and my younger sister's 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
My older sister committed suicide, and my youngest sister's still alive. Yeah, and I have 2 brothers alive.
So far, what you told me, you've dealt with a lot of like pain in life, and you still.
Yeah, I'm a survivor. Yeah, I mean, because I'm in sobriety 4 years, and my daughter, 25 years old, put a gun in her mouth and took herself out, and that's not a reason to drink.
Yeah.
I mean, how dare I use that for an excuse to drink? And in order to survive that, I had to take myself out of the equation. And if I had sat there and kept saying, oh, well, poor me, oh my God, look at my daughter died, my daughter killed herself. No, my daughter killed herself. I have to take me out of the equation. Didn't happen to me. Again, I get to choose. I'm going to say this happened to me, or I can say this happened for me. And people say, you're out of your mind. How could that have happened for you? I said, this is what I do with it. I put it over here. It happened. That's a fact. I stick with the truth. Did it happen to me? No. I read the most wonderful, wonderful poet on the planet, Rumi. He said, "Your children are born through you, not to you." That child didn't belong to me. Everybody and everything is just on loan. So when I get to the facts, the truth of life, it doesn't hurt as long.
Okay.
Okay? I'm still, my heart weeps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been, what, since 1993? And it's 2023 since my daughter took her life. My heart always weeps.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever get over it. It gets different. You digest it different.
Mm-hmm.
And you process it again. And when you understand, for me, I choose, because words are huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say it happens to me, I'm a victim. If I say I'm entrusted with this experience, I get to be of service.
I like
See?
that.
I get to say, wow, listen, somebody else, I'm here for you. I don't know your pain. I know my pain. I've been there. I know that. And so if it doesn't happen to you, how can you help those that are coming up behind you? I mean, what's our purpose to be here?
Yeah.
What? To eat, watch TV,
That's what it
play
seems
video
like for some
games? You know,
people.
I mean, no. For me, my whole purpose, when my daughter took her life, I what can I do with this? How can I take this experience and help make this world a better place to live? So that's when I started doing workshops and seminars for young women and young men in the colleges, like titles like Perfectly Imperfect. You know, I make mistakes. I'm not a mistake. How many times do we make a mistake and we figure we're the mistake? You know, we're hit with shame. Shame is there's something's wrong with my very being, rather than guilt. Yeah, I did it. Okay, let's let's see why we did it. Take a peek at it.
Yeah.
Understand me. Understand me. So I don't do those things again. Or if I do, I don't have to say to myself, Cindy, what the hell's me? You should have. No, no, no. It's like, hey, sweetheart, that wasn't anything to do. Okay, go ahead. You know, there's consequences for your actions. You're going to get to learn some more. That's all this is. It's a playground of experiences. You know, I love it. So we're sitting here at the library and it says adult fiction and mysteries, and that's what life is. Adults having mysteries. It's called fiction because it's not real until we get into the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Fact is, she's dead. Can I do anything about it? No. I mourn, I cry, and learn what wailing meant. Literally tore some of the hair out of the top of my head. You know, she was in domestic violence. She killed herself the night that her boyfriend beat her out. See, if we don't get out of what we're in, we can't recover. We can't discover. We can't make the change. I can't sit there as a victim. Oh my God, I'm being, oh my God, oh my God, I've been molested. Oh my God, 3 guys in the van and raped me. So I hope and pray they're in recovery somewhere. I hope they can live with themselves.
And your mindset and what like the stuff you just said, for some people it's a lot to digest, and they may be offended, like, oh, how could she say that, I'm sure there'll be some people offended out there.
I hope so, because that's going to make them stop and think. This is what anger will do.
Mm-hmm.
Anger will take you deeper inside yourself than any other emotion.
Yeah.
So I hope you're all upset.
So we're gonna come back to this because it sounds like that's where your growth really took off. Not your growth, but your transformation to help other people through hard times.
Absolutely.
So I want to go back to, if you said it was you were 25 when you had your first kiss.
Yeah.
With a lady.
Yeah.
What happened with that situation? And you said you wanted to leave your husband.
Well, I got fortunate. He beat me up about 2 weeks ago, real bad. 2 weeks after that, broke my teeth, my glass, blah, blah. And I said, no, I'm no longer the personal punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
You either, I said, this is what you can do, sweetheart. You can either go to jail, because I'm going to call the police this time,
Mm-hmm.
or you can move out.
Back then, would the police do anything about it?
No, but I'm not done telling you what I'm
Oh,
going to do.
sorry.
So I put the element of fear in this man because he knows, right?
Okay.
I said, so you can either then visit your children and pay a little child support, or you taught me real good, how to shoot that rifle. It's over that fireplace. You got to go to sleep. So you got some choices. He didn't come back. We started, we got separation and got, visitation rights.
Okay.
Smart man.
Okay.
Because see, you take my kids away from me as a mother, and I'd rather be in jail.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather be in jail. And see, that's the thing about sleep. It's the great equalizer.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you got to get sleep somehow.
I don't care how big that. That's how I got my dad to stop molesting me. Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, back then, I couldn't. What are you going to do? People don't believe you. Like you say, they don't take them to jail. They don't do anything. They might send them up to Mercy State Hospital. And I wasn't going to say anything. I just would beg him when he was in there not to touch my sister because we slept in the same bed, right?
Your younger sister?
Yeah, my younger sister. So I'd fall asleep though in class. That's why I was such a horrible student.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, you're laying awake, you're hypervigilant. Is he going to be in here? Am I going to wake up and find him in my bed? Blah, blah, blah. Little girl doesn't sleep much that way, right? And one of my teachers took me down to guidance counselor and said she's asleep, blah, blah, blah. They put two and two together. So I sat there with the guidance counselor for the longest time to finally let him get me in his office. He talked to me out in the hall. He's a really nice man. And I told him what had happened or what had been happening. And they took me over to Oswego probation officer over there, and I filed a report. And I had to tell my mom because hell's going to break loose, right? Mm-hmm. And she told my dad, and he told her if they didn't take me back and say I made it up and lied, that he killed her grandson. Mm. So they took me back. I had to go and sign a paper. 12 years old, right? Saying I lied. My dad never did such a thing. My dad's the greatest guy in the world, blah, blah, blah. And the people in the probation office, they just shamed me terrible. How could you do that to your dad? Blah, the whole thing. And I get out the door, and I stuck my head back in this. I did not lie. And I left. Well, from that point on, my dad knew I told on him, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't leave the house. I'm 16 and I'm 12. I mean, I know I'm in prison. That's all there is to it, right? Yeah. But I heard him beating the hell out of my mom one night. And I said, you know what, Cindy, I don't know where I got this from, but enough's enough. I went downstairs and I stood there and I said, go ahead, hit her, big man. He's a big iron worker and she's a little thing about 4'10". You get the F back to bed, blah, blah. Helen, tell her to get back to bed. She says, you get back to bed. I ain't going to bed. I said, I'm going to watch how a big man beats the hell out of a little woman. I want to see this in action. Go ahead, Dad, hit her again. You get back to bed. I said, hit her. I want to watch you in action because you're such a big, big, strong, proud man. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to tell you something, Dad. You ever touch me again? And don't you ever touch my little sister. And you ever hit my mother again? I know where you sleep. You're 240 pounds. You're a big, strong iron worker. But I know where you sleep, and I'll know where you sleep the rest of your life. And I swear to God, I'm going to come in your room. If your folks are offended, you might turn the volume off. I'm going to cut your dick off. I'm going to run that right down your throat. And then I'm going to laugh. I'm going to laugh. Because you can never hurt another little girl again. And you'll never hurt my mom again. Never. And from that day on, he never touched me again. My sister to this day says he never touched her, and my mom didn't have another black eye, and she had a black eye every day of my childhood. Mm. Yeah.
So it's like you've been like an advocate for yourself and others for years.
Yeah. And that is not to shame those young men and women who can't tell somebody. You can only do what you can do, and don't feel bad because you haven't done something that maybe you want to do. But talk to somebody. Get some help. Get some help. Because it's out there. Yeah. I'm so glad. I don't, to this day.
All right. So now we can move back to 1993. There was a big change in your life, a big painful change. And
my daughter called me that night. It was a Friday night. She called me. She says, Mom, she's crying. I said, baby girl, what's going on? She says, Tim hit me, Mom. I said, well, honey, you're drunk, aren't you? You're probably drunk and high. He's probably drunk and high. I said, that's what we do. We hurt each other. The people we love we most. I said, you guys love each other. She says, Mom, but I need to know why he hit me. I said, sweetheart, it doesn't matter. She says, Mom, it does. See,
Was it the first time?
that she called me and told me about it.
Okay.
And she says, Mom, it does. She says, because if I know why Tim hits me, then I can change and he won't do it anymore. Is that how we blame ourselves for other people's behavior?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she said, Mom, she says, do you love me? I said, oh, sweetheart, I love you more than anything. I said, she's my good person. I said, of course you are. And I reminded her how she did advocacy and she did volunteer work she even worked on the suicide hotline. Now she worked for the D's. Plus she had a full-time job. And she was a model and she was a beautiful woman. She did not think she was pretty enough or good enough, And she said, do you love me? I said, I love you so much. She said, Mama, I love you too. I said, sweetheart, get yourself in a safe place tonight until the both of you sober up, okay? Yeah, Mom. I said, you promise? She said, yes, Mom, I will. She hung up the phone. That's where she got herself in a safe place forever. She took a permanent solution to a temporary situation.
Yeah.
And I think if she hadn't been under the drugs and alcohol, I don't think she'd have done it. My therapist said she's probably in a blackout. Probably didn't even know what she was doing, but the gun was there. It was loaded, handy. Yeah. Yeah, and I got that knock on the door at 4:00 in the morning from the city police telling me. Yeah, first the words out of my mouth was, thank you, God, for my sobriety. Because I'd have killed him. I'd have killed him. Well, without a doubt, I'd have thrown that man and killed him for hitting my kid. I didn't know it, And that must be God didn't want me to know. Because I'd been in jail,
Sounds like God's
Two
been
wrongs
working
don't
in your
make
life.
it right.
Sounds like God's been working in your life for a long time.
For a long, long
or your
time.
higher power, creator, whatever you want to call it, universe.
Yeah. And I didn't know that as a little girl. Talk about prayer, man. I'd pray my fanny off and nothing changed. So when I got in recovery and they told me I got to have a God, I'm like, F you, I don't want that. Wasn't there for me now. What do I want that for, I said, no, God of your understanding. I said, I can make my own up. It's all right. I got me this boy and I got me this girl because I got to have the male version and the female version. So I got me a mom and dad. They're my higher power, right?
Yeah.
And we work together. I make my promise every morning. I promise God. I say, I will not pick up the first drink and I won't take my own life because it belongs to you. It's just on loan to me.
Yeah. So that pain catapulted. I can't talk right now. That pain forced you into a different way of life or a level of thinking. And so tell me a little bit about that phase in your life.
Yes, what that did for me. I say that's my motto. From that point on, I think I got it from Tony Robbins. Nothing happens to me, everything happens for me since the day I was born, and I believe that with every cell in my body. Okay, of my mind, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I called my doctor, told her. She says, "What would you like me to do? Let me write your prescription." I says, "I don't want a drug." I said, "I can't do this in 3 days. I cannot do this in 3 days." I said, "I know me, and I got to do it now. I cannot do it 10 years from now. I have to do this now. I will drink, I will drug, I will kill. And I know that about me. Okay? I've been in sobriety 4 years now." She said, "Well, what can I give you?" I said, "Give me 3 months off from work. Put me in disability so I can get through this."
And this was back in 1993?
Yep.
Okay.
I got me best grief therapist that I had in Syracuse at the time, Gerda Boda. She lives in Cleveland now. I got me a spiritual guide, and I got busy, and I got into it. And I come to what I tell you, when I went out of my mind, those 3 months, I spent 3 months of screaming, yelling, not asking why, and not asking when, because I've been taught those are two questions that'll never get answered. Why and when? So I didn't ask that. I just stayed in that grief. And I tell you, I went so deep inside myself. When I say I went out of my mind, there was no belief, no lies, no truth, no nothing left. I was in a void. I was in this void. I could feel me down here, deep, like you're sitting in a dark room. And I sat there for those 3 months and I processed. And I felt and I screamed and I yelled and I thought. I still went to meetings though every day. I did not, and I would go in, put my head down and cry because I felt safe. Because I wasn't with my family. I couldn't do my family. You know, they don't hug, they don't love, they don't. Oh, we're going to talk about it. Well, I can't talk. I can't come home because if I can't talk about it, I can't survive, right? Mm-hmm. So I went so deep down inside myself, and that's where I connected on a level spiritually with myself, my God, my dead daughter, and I had a choice. I either got to come up out of that hole, and I got to do something with this, or I'm going to die too. And 6 months later, I'm in upstate medical center with a heart attack. Mm. And there was a very enlightened doctor there who said to me, Cindy, you're dying of a broken heart. There's nothing, it's physical, but it's emotional. And there is a technical name for it, but I can't remember what it is. Mm-hmm. He said, I can't give you a prescription. I kept doing, he says, what I want you to do is, he says, I want you to go and do something like yoga. Because you've been moaning, groaning, you know, your circulation to your heart and lungs isn't there, your brain, because you're all curled up like kink water hose. You know, nothing's getting through.
Cut off all the circulation.
Absolutely. And I was drowning in my own emotions, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I can't do this. I mean, I was all American medicine at the time, and I went home and I thought, man, yoga, I'm not going to be a pretzel. Crazy crap. So a friend of mine came over that night. She said, Cindy, how'd you do? And I told her, and she says, she says, I ever heard Reiki? And I said, no. I said, I ain't going to have somebody just run no rake over me. And, whatever the hell that stuff is. And she says, no. She says, I have a friend has a place out in Baldwinsville, and if you will go, I'll pay for it. All right, we'll give it a try. What the heck? And I went out there for an hour, and I laid on this woman's table. And she changed everything inside me forever. I don't know how. I don't know what. I can't explain it. But I went to her once a week for a year. And I realized I must become a Reiki master.
I was going to ask, can you explain what Reiki is and where it comes from?
It's Japanese hands-on healing.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so it wasn't a rake on your back, right?
No, and sometimes you touch the body, sometimes you don't. I mean, and there's a distance healing, like for you folks who are out there right now, I could actually do Reiki on you right now in home. But it's Japanese hands-on healing, and what it does, we have 7 main chakras in our body, from our root chakra up to the top of our head. And when those are shut down, and they get shut down through grief, anger, abuse, trauma, whatever, that whole system in there shuts down, because every cell in your body has its own intelligence and its own memory. So whatever violation you've had, you can, like my clients would come in and say, oh yeah, what's your issue? And they'll say, well, I've done that, been in therapy forever. I said, that's from here on. What Reiki does is goes to the root of entry. Mm-hmm. So if you've had childhood trauma, we've got to go back there, then find out where that is, open that chakra, and let that trauma out. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful part of it is, oftentimes you don't even have to remember. You don't have to know. You just let the practitioner continue to open you up and let it flow through. So I eventually did my 1, my 2, and then 3, and became a 3rd-level master. Had my own practice for a long time. Yeah. I think it has everything to. I know it has everything to do with my health. I don't take any medical prescriptions at all.
And you say you're how old?
In my 75th year is almost over with.
75 years, almost 76. And like that's honestly in today's time. I don't know about back in the day because I'm only 30, but what I know so far, a lot of people that's at least over 50, they're taking some kind of medication to control an issue.
Yeah.
So to be 75 and no medicine, 75 years young and no prescription is like amazing.
Yeah, and it's not like I go out and exercise because I don't. I go to the refrigerator to the sofa, to the sofa to the bathroom, to my computer. Yeah.
So not much exercise.
It's not an exercise thing. I drink a lot of water. I take my vitamins. If I have an issue, I go to the doctor, and they do a diagnosis and tell me what it is, and I go home and I mix up my essential oils and stuff, or I'll go have a Reiki treatment.
Mm.
You know, I'm not making any claims. I'm just saying this is what works for me.
This isn't any medical advice.
Nope.
It's just about what works for her.
Yeah, just me. Just me. And I'm not anti-meds. I don't know. I do not know but one person in my entire life that is not on a medication. And that means children, young adults, your age, older. One person do I know. One other lady who does not take a prescription.
Mm-hmm. Well, like never in their life or not
Never.
at the moment. Oh, okay.
Never.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I've had tons of surgeries, Mm-hmm. So, I mean, while I'm in there, if I got to take an antibiotic or something, IV or whatever, do that. But no, I don't take.
Yeah, but nothing to like regulate any part of your body, mind.
When I find out that something's not working right because I'm in tune to my body, I make a doctor appointment. I call. We do the blood work. We do the tests. They tell me what they think, and I say, "Okay, I'm going home."
Yeah. Yeah, because it's more about I guess identifying what it is and then treating it.
Yes.
And not
the symptom.
Not the symptom,
issue.
but treat the symptom, the issue. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been doing like a lot of reading about treating the issue instead of the symptom.
Yeah, a dis-ease in the body becomes a disease.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to.
Y'all caught that? Y'all caught that? Say it again.
A dis-ease in the mind and in the body becomes a disease in the mind and in the body. Yeah. That's my belief. Doesn't mean it's true. But that's my belief. Yeah.
Okay. So anything else you would like to share with our viewers? Oh, I know. So you've wrote a few books.
I have,
radio shows, and
I co-authored a couple books. In fact, the last one I did with Mary Doherty is called "Is Writing and Publishing a Book on Your Bucket List?" That's on Amazon. I years ago had two of my own radio shows. One was called "Expect a Miracle," and it was a call-in show, and I would let people share their miracles that happened in their life, whether it was medical or whatever, it didn't matter, but little miracles that they'd experienced. And my other one was called, Came to Believe, and it was about, it was called Choices, and I interviewed all these people who did holistic healthcare, everything outside of the medical realm. So whether it was Reiki or whether it was witchcraft or whether it was Qigong or oils or, whatever, it didn't matter. Special diets, raw food, it was great, really great. And then I had a CD was published by a good friend of mine, Greg Norman from Rhode Island, done stand-up comedy. I've just had a blast.
Stand up, Cindy Fox.
Yeah, just do it. This is the way I look at it. If I go after it, that's my ego. If it comes to me, it's an invitation, and that's for me to say yes. So when Greg called me and said, "Will you come up here and I got friends got a new nightclub? Will you open this up for us and do an hour of stand up?" I'm like, "Yep." My son says, "Mom, you out of your mind. You never done stand up in your life." I said, I don't care. We'll just go do it. What's going to happen? And so I trusted that it was going to be there. And I got there and I thought I was going to die because there was an all black audience. And I didn't know anything because I'm raised a little white country girl, for Pete's sake. And I just made the truth funny, Started out by saying, in case you all hadn't noticed, I'm the only white person in the room, and I mean, we had a lot of fun, and it worked out wonderfully. So don't be afraid. If I want to leave you with anything, not say don't be afraid, be afraid. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Oh, that's powerful. Feel the fear, but do it anyway. Yeah. And one thing, I have one more question. You said if it's an invitation.
Yes.
it comes to you. But so how do you clear up? How do you turn it from like someone seeking something versus the invitation? How do you
Well,
make
you
that
mean there's
happen?
something seeking from me?
No, you said if you go for it, it's the ego. But if
Yeah,
it comes to you,
if it's my idea, it's from my ego.
okay.
Okay. But if I'm just sitting there, like when Greg called, I'm just sitting there one day and the phone rang and Greg says, "Hi, I'm Greg Noren. I just come from a workshop down in Florida for a week with Wayne Dyer." And he said, "I need to go home and call somebody and ask them what I can do for them. They gotta be a stranger." And he said, "Yeah, I'm calling you." He says, "I heard your radio show and I'm calling you. What can I do for you?" And I said, "Greg, I don't know you. I don't know anything." He says, "Well, let me give you something." I said, "Well, you think about it because I'm not a needy person." I said, "I know how to do nothing with nothing, right?"
Yeah.
He called me back up and said, "I want to produce your CD." And he did. He produced a CD called Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. That's also on Amazon, I believe. Still, I don't get any royalties from that. I don't take that. Yeah. Yeah. So, see, what I'm saying is an invitation. If somebody calls and says, "Gee whiz, can you do this?" I say yes, even if I have never done it before.
Okay.
I figure if it's an invitation to God, my higher power has prepared me because my higher power loves me more than I can comprehend and gives me what God wants me to have. So I'm entrusted with the experience, whether it's good, bad, happy, sad, however you want to label it. It's just a label. Okay. So that because someone's going to come behind me, you've heard it. When the student's ready, the teacher appears. So I'm the teacher, the student, the teacher, the student. So it's just circular. We just energy. We just give it back out. It comes to us. We give it back. And my purpose is to stay sober, be a woman of dignity and honor, and help as many people as I can, before the angels come and close my eyes forever.
And something that you just said, you said teacher student, teacher
Yeah.
student, and you just give back.
Yeah.
So on the prior episode, I mentioned how the information doesn't change, just the people. So you see how that works. The information is the same. The people change, but the information is the same. So
The information's the same, but what changes is the experience. When someone has the experience and has the courage to share it, that opens the world for the other people too. And they go, "Oh, me too. Oh, me too. Yeah. Oh, that's possible. Wow." Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to close this out with something, another a golden nugget, or?
Well, I can tell you this: when I would be one of those people who wouldn't do anything because if I couldn't do it perfect the first time, I wouldn't do it. That's the way I was raised. There wasn't time for mistakes. And like I said, till I was 44, 45 years old, I was fourth grade level reading. And it's not beneficial for me to not move forward no matter what I have or have not. Because there's always someone there that will help me. I've had a ton of help. I've had outside help, therapy, inside help, books, everything, people. I mean, this is never done alone. This isn't a solo job. This life is all of us who gravitate together, work together to do what we can do to make a difference. And that's what I'm here for. So get out of the refrigerator, get off the sofa. Get off Netflix. Get off TikTok.
Don't forget Hulu.
Yeah, don't forget who you are. And go ahead, step forward. Let your imagination run. Imagination, image, 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 which is you, in action. Imagination. Okay? And we're made in the image of it. I'm not a religious person, so I don't thump no Bible. I don't even go to church. None of that stuff, okay? But imagination, image, and action. You think it, do it. Even if you do it wrong, do it again. I was told before I started writing, write the worst piece of work you could possibly do, because then you can get in there and come up and improve, and you don't feel that fear to do it anyway. You're all worthy.
All right. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you, Cindy Fox, for coming out and sharing your story.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Super powerful.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
So stay tuned for the next episode.